We're here to unpack the stories behind the headlines, bringing you some surprising insights from really talked about topics. And today, we're doing exactly that. We're diving into the very multifaceted public life of Donald Trump.
A figure many people feel they know quite well.
Absolutely. You've likely heard a lot, you've probably formed opinions, but our mission today is really to go beyond that surface level.
Yeah.
We've taken a stack of sources, articles, research, historical accounts, and we're here to pull out those crucial nuggets of knowledge, the things that add new layers to his, very well-known story.
Kind of connecting the dots.
Exactly. Think of it as a shortcut for you to get truly well-informed, maybe with a few aha moments you weren't expecting.
And that really is the goal, isn't it? When we look at figures who've been at the center of, global attention for so long, it's easy to assume we know the whole story.
Right.
But a deeper look often reveals this really intricate tapestry of influences and experiences, things that defy, simple labels. Our aim is to connect those dots, showing how seemingly separate parts of his life, childhood dreams, business tactics, kind of converge to shape the public figure we recognize.
Okay, so let's unpack this, starting right at the beginning.
Makes sense.
Most people picture Donald Trump, the real estate mogul, gleaming skyscrapers, bold statements.
That's the classic image.
But our sources paint a really interesting foundational picture. His early life, it goes way beyond just boardroom beginnings.
Definitely.
Like, for instance, he was the fourth of 5 kids. His mother, Marianne McLeod, she was an immigrant from Scotland.
Right, grew up in Queens, New York.
Exactly. But what really jumps out from the early accounts is his time at the New York Military Academy.
Ah, yes. That comes up a lot.
What do the sources tell us about how that, very structured environment might have shaped him when he was young?
Well, that's a critical point because the New York Military Academy wasn't just, any old boarding school.
Right.
It was highly disciplined, rigorous, known for instilling leadership, a competitive drive.
Our sources talk about his performance there. He wasn't just a top student academically. Apparently, he also excelled in sports, baseball, football.
Ah, interesting.
Served as a cadet captain. Showed sort of an early assertiveness, maybe a flair for debating, even back then.
So leadership qualities showing up early.
Yeah. And this environment, it's often cited in biographies, right? As instilling a sense of order, resilience, maybe a strategic way of thinking.
Which seems almost like a paradox, given his leader image.
It is interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
It gave him this structured approach that perhaps ran counter to that later maverick image. Yet maybe it also fueled that independent drive somehow. And it also highlights an early ambition. Sources recall he once wanted to be a pilot.
A pilot, really?
An aspiration that kind of speaks to maybe a thirst for, grand endeavors and control. So a foundation built on discipline, competition, not just pure business instinct from day one. That's a fascinating way to frame it.
It adds nuance.
And from those roots, he moves into business. Makes a name for himself pretty quickly. We all know the name in the big buildings, but our sources highlight some really unexpected bits about his business sense, particularly his first major real estate project.
Right, not what people might assume.
It wasn't some huge new tower, but the renovation of Manhattan's Commodore Hotel.
That's the one.
What made that project and how he tackled it so unconventional.
Yeah.
And what about the financial strategies? What did the sources detail there?
Okay, yeah, this is where you really see a shrewd business mind emerging. Most developers back then would probably have run screaming from a dilapidated, almost abandoned hotel in a pretty rough part of town.
Right, risky.
Very. But the sources emphasize Trump's vision, seeing the potential for urban renewal, for luxury, where others didn't.
Okay.
But the real genius and, the controversy of the Commodore project, which became the Grand Hyatt,
right, the Grand Hyatt,
lay in the really complex financial and, frankly, political maneuvering involved. Okay. More than just bricks and mortar.
Much more. He didn't just renovate. He secured this incredibly advantageous 40-year tax abatement from the city.
40 years, wow.
Yeah, a hugely contentious deal at the time. It essentially subsidized the whole massive undertaking.
So less private risk, more public partnership, in a way.
Exactly. It wasn't just business. It was a masterclass in leveraging connections, understanding city incentives, and taking calculated risks on a huge scale. Sources often point to this project as the blueprint for his later big developments. Showed his ability to revitalize existing assets and pull value out through let's say, aggressive negotiation and these public-private deals.
A powerful lesson in deal making right from the get-go. And speaking of value, our sources really hammer home this idea of his branding genius.
Oh, absolutely.
The way he stretched his name way beyond just buildings. It's pretty fascinating how he leveraged that personal brand.
It really is. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, the sources show this remarkable grasp of how to, well, monetize public perception. Monetize perception. Interesting phrase.
Yeah. He wasn't just building properties, he was building a personal brand that became a valuable commodity in itself.
Right.
We're talking licensing his name to this incredibly wide range of products, luxury golf courses, condos, sure, but also
Steak, water.
steaks, bottled water, even neckties, things you wouldn't immediately connect.
Definitely not.
And what's crucial here, what the sources point out, is that he often generated millions from these ventures without being directly involved in actually making the stuff.
So the value is purely in the name.
Purely in the name. The perceived link to his brand of, luxury and success, it shows this distinct entrepreneurial shift, right? Moving from making things to strategically leveraging an established identity shows a deep insight into market psychology, the power of a cultivated image.
It's quite an evolution, seeing the name itself become the product. And that ties straight into his extensive pop culture footprint.
Long before politics.
Exactly. Long before his political ambitions really took shape, The Apprentice is obviously well known.
Can't miss that one.
But our sources show a much broader and maybe more deliberate cultivation of a public persona through entertainment. What are some of the maybe lesser known parts of his entertainment career? And how did this constant media presence, often playing himself, make him different?
Well, the sources show his media presence was just far more extensive and sustained than many people probably realize.
Right.
He sort of grew up in public in a way. Beyond The Apprentice, he actually popped up in over 20 movies and TV shows.
20? Wow.
Yeah, nearly always playing himself or, some version of a powerful businessman.
Like typecasting himself.
Pretty much. Think about it. Zoolander, Spin City, even that cameo in Home Alone 2 that people sometimes forget.
Oh yeah, giving Kevin directions in the hotel.
Exactly. These weren't just random appearances, right? They were consistent reinforcement of a specific image, the confident, decisive, successful guy.
Building the brand, even then.
Absolutely. And a detail that often gets missed today, but really speaks to his pop culture status back then, is his star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame.
He has a star. I didn't realize that.
He does. So this deep, decades-long immersion in media, where he consistently projected this larger-than-life character, it let him build this unique relationship with the public. Totally set him apart from traditional political figures who usually build their platform through, public service or policy before getting famous.
Right, the usual path.
It suggests a really strategic understanding that visibility itself is a kind of power.
So he basically built a brand and a very recognizable public character way before even seriously thinking about public office.
Seems that way.
Which makes his unconventional political path even more intriguing.
We're full of twists.
His journey to the presidency, it had some surprising detours.
Yeah.
Our sources reveal that before he officially ran in 2015, he'd actually considered bids as a Democrat.
Right.
A Reform Party candidate, even hinted at running as an independent.
Yeah, he explored different avenues.
But what do those early political sort of flirtations tell us about his approach to politics? And how did his eventual campaign strategy, especially using data, really shake things up?
Well, this specific aspect, I think, really highlights a pragmatic and highly adaptable political mindset.
Okay.
The sources suggest that his earlier explorations with different parties weren't necessarily about deep ideological shifts.
More strategic.
More like a strategic assessment of the landscape. What's the most viable path to actually having influence?
Makes sense.
This kind of fluidity in party affiliation shows a willingness to explore different options, suggesting maybe his main driver was impact, not necessarily sticking to traditional party lines. But where his political path got truly revolutionary, I think, was the 2016 campaign. While a lot of people saw his slogans as just simple marketing.
Like, make America great again.
Exactly. Our sources detail that they were actually incredibly sophisticated and data-driven.
Data-driven, how so?
This wasn't just one broad message. His campaign pioneered really advanced micro-targeting. Using social media analytics, voter data, to craft unique variations of messages tailored to specific regions or demographic groups based on their local economic worries or cultural triggers.
Wow, really personalized.
Highly personalized. It challenged the conventional wisdom by showing that a digital-first strategy, super targeted, could effectively bypass traditional media and political gatekeepers.
And that's clearly changed things.
Fundamentally reshaped political campaigning, arguably, across the globe.
There's a profound shift, yeah.
Yeah.
Really makes you rethink the whole playbook.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of tying into that unconventional path, let's maybe wrap up with some fun, unexpected facts that show a different side.
The personal quirks.
Yeah, glimpses beyond the headlines. Our sources mention he owns a private library filled with historical documents, books signed by famous presidents.
Yeah, I found that interesting too.
It's fascinating. And then there's his liking for classic board games, including Monopoly, where he reportedly plays by his own rules.
Laughs slightly. That one gets mentioned.
What do these personal details add to the fuller picture of the man? And how does the philanthropic work our sources mention fit in?
Well, these details, I think they're invaluable because they paint that more nuanced, multifaceted picture that often gets lost in the big public narratives.
Right.
The private library, for instance, it's not just a collection. Sources suggest maybe it reflects an engagement with history, perhaps an unspoken respect for powerful figures, thinking about legacy.
Adds a layer you might not expect.
An intellectual curiosity, perhaps, often overlooked. And the Monopoly anecdote. Okay, it's a small detail, but maybe quite telling, right?
I know so.
Playing by his own rules. It's not just a quirk. It could be seen as insight into a personality that challenges existing frameworks, always looks for an edge, is comfortable rewriting the parameters of the game.
Mirrors business, maybe politics too.
One could argue that, yeah. And the philanthropic side, often less publicized, is significant too.
How significant?
Our sources indicate he's hosted over 5,000 charity events over his career.
5,000, that's a lot.
It's a huge volume of involvement. Whether through direct donations or just providing venues, it shows a consistent, if maybe sometimes understated, commitment to philanthropy.
Which contrasts with the tough businessman image.
Exactly. It just reminds us that public figures are rarely just one thing. They often have complex layers, interests, contributions that go beyond their most famous roles.
And there you have it. A truly deep dive into a figure many people think they already know inside out. We've journeyed through his early life, the disciplined roots, explored those unique, surprisingly varied business strategies, renovation, branding.
Right, the whole range.
Examined his extensive, deliberate entertainment career, understood that unconventional, data-driven political path, and even touched on some really surprising personal details like the library and the board games.
Yeah.
What our sources collectively show, I think, is that the story behind the man is just far more complex, more multifaceted than maybe we commonly perceive.
And, this raises an important question for all of us, doesn't it?
With that,
How often do we form our opinions of public figures based on just, a fraction of their story?
headlines, sound bites.
Exactly, or on a carefully managed public image. What other hidden depths might exist if we really took a deeper dive into anyone's full biography, pushing past those surface narratives? It's just a powerful reminder, I think, that even the most scrutinized people have layers we rarely get to see. Layers that could really change our understanding of them if we just, dig a little deeper.